You are recorded.
All right, thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 10:01 on this Wednesday, June 12th. Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to say one more reminder. There's a link in the chat that Jennifer put in there to sign in for the meeting. So please do so if you are just joining or joined recently and haven't signed in. The first thing we have is the CenturyLink Lumen System Performance Reports. I know that Tracy cannot be here today. I think I saw Jeff on. Jeff, you're here, correct?
I am, yes.
Did you want to go through this, or she did send us an email with a little bit of information? I could just go through that. Just let me know.
Yeah, go ahead and go through that. Probably best for this part of it, yeah.
Okay. All right. So Tracy did send these reports to myself and Jennifer. It's the Splunk data analysis for May. She said there was a spike in the node testing on May 10th. This was due to our multiple attempts to ping the server. Their outstanding action item around Pitkin and Vail is pending the decision that the PSAP and the CPE vendor decide upon. Once that's finished, Lumen and Entrado are ready to continue. She didn't have anything else for the rest of the testing. I think that's all that she brought, said about the testing, just that one spike. And I love it when things change in a platform and you don't know how they changed it. Kimberly, is that you with your hand up?
Yeah, I was just wondering if that was an accurate statement for Aspen Pitkin, that this is back with the CPE vendor, and if they agree and if they're pending decisions, and I'm not sure if they're on today.
Kimberly, this is Jody Chin. Pitkin's actually in my building right now. If you give me just 1 second, I'll grab Brett.
Perfect. Thanks, Jody.
Just while she's grabbing Brett, we're looking at the packet loss percentage, and it looks like there was a spike on that possibly on that same day as the, oh no, not the same day.
Yeah, and I think, Jennifer, you got the same email. I don't have anything in the email about that.
I don't either. I don't know if Jeff is able to shed some light on this particular metric or not.
I unfortunately don't have access to any of this, so I don't have any additional information.
Okay. We'll just put that as a follow-up for Tracy for next week. That'll be fine.
I think it's still well within the SLAs defined, though. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm sure it is. But usually that's what Tracy does. She just follows up to see if there's any information on it. Jody, go ahead.
Okay, Brett is standing in my office if you guys want it. If Kimberly wanted to repeat that question, or if somebody wants to repeat that question.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll go ahead and read it again. Brett, Tracy was unable to make the meeting, so she sent an email to myself and Jennifer. And in the meeting, she said that, in the email, she said that the outstanding action item around Pitkin and Vail is pending the decision that the PSAP and the CPE vendor decide upon. Once that is finished, Lumen and Entrado are ready to continue. And Kimberly brought forward, she wanted to make sure that that was a true and accurate statement.
Yeah, we're waiting for Motorola to give us what their options are.
Okay, and that's where you are right now with that. All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep, I would say the reason that they're having trouble is because Lumen and Entrado are not being flexible at all.
I would challenge that statement. This is Rich Johnston from Entrado. We have designed or presented multiple options as to what Lumen and Entrado can do. It was determined beyond certainty that the reason that traffic cannot be separated is because of the Motorola design and equipment. That is
I would,
a
I
shi-
would, this
Richard,
is Jeremy Duncan.
we've been
This is
on
not-
many meetings about this, and Jeremy's standing right
I
here, and
would
we know
challenge
that the very basis of this problem is because of your inflexibility in the design of the ESInet.
I cannot challenge that more. We've been doing this for months, and we can go to the
We've been doing it
emails.
for years, Richard.
There is a shared server in the Motorola multi-node system that needs to be reached by both of the physical locations in this deployment. Because that shared server is needed for every call, then the network needs to be shared across the infrastructure. I
Okay,
cannot-
well, we'll talk about that at the next meeting.
okay, well,
Which again, it's not.
But
that
bottom
was
line is-
confirmed by Motorola last
Yeah.
time we were on the call.
That's right. We're waiting for Motorola because they have a solution, but the very root cause of all of this is not anything to do with you guys today or the last couple months. It's the way it was designed originally.
It was I'm going to continue to challenge it, is that it is not how Entrado or Lumen designed the system. It's the
It's not
acceptable.
the system, it's the ESInet.
It is not how Entrado and Lumen.
The ESInet is, you don't have border control function at the local PSAP.
Okay.
But
Okay,
again, we
gentlemen,
can-
let's
but I
hang
mean,
on just a second. Hang on. I think this may be something that should be discussed at another meeting. I know I also have Jeff Tucker from Motorola with his hand up. I'd like to hear what he has to say right now.
Hey, Kathy, thank you. So Motorola has been reviewing the options available to Vail and to Pitkin. I've got a meeting this afternoon. Hopefully we've got something we can present to both Pitkin and to Vail in the near future. I don't want to get into pointing fingers at this point, but we're working on a solution, and I think we're very, very close. So
Okay, and you have a meeting with Pitkin
internal,
later today?
no, internal Motorola meeting
Oh,
today.
internal. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Kimberly, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like we do need to have a special meeting and hear with photos, drawings, and truly understand the issue, because this has been a problem for a long time, and it's been discussed at the outage committee, and it's been kind of a dance around of who's on first, or whose responsibility, or whose action items, and it's just been a mess for this particular authority, and it concerns me a great deal. And whether they own some of it, whether Motorola owns some of it, or CenturyLink or Entrado, I don't know, but I think it would be good for us to understand. So if we have a deployment in the future with a regional kind of remote node setup, that we understand the delivery of the ESInet, the equipment, the performance, the CPE vendor limitations, or what needs to be asked of the CPE vendor to make sure that what is ordered and needed and communicated is all good and tidied up. So I do see some value. I would say that, I mean, this is really an Aspen-Pitkin deal, but it does impact all of Colorado. So I would love to be able to participate in something like that. If Brett, if you and your team wanted to hold that, and if Rich, if you and your team want to come together, and we could kind of talk through it just so we all can learn from it. But that would I think that could further us down the road as it relates to any future remote host node configurations.
Sure,
I-
we'd be happy to participate in there and show you what we've learned over the last 10 years of deploying this, and specific CPE requirements and standard business practices.
Thank you, Rich. Brett and Jeremy, is that something that you would be interested in as well?
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
Okay. All right. Well, I do not have an issue. I mean, even putting that together as a special meeting with the ESInet users group, if that's the avenue we should take. So I'm more than happy to do that. I appreciate the information everybody brought and also the passion. But as I pointed out, I think this is better to go into a different meeting, and then we can move along with what we're doing here. And Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. So we're happy to attend to whenever it needs to happen. I just wanted to say that we have got a redundant circuit now between Pitkin and Vail. We're using Project 4 cable fiber to go between the two agencies. So it is a little more reliable, but this definitely needs to be fixed permanently. That's all done at our expense.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. All right, Jennifer, can you, I just want to make sure is everybody okay with ESInet users group, those that are involved or want to attend with the ESInet users group setting up that special meeting? And just because I'm not familiar, Jennifer, is it all right for us to do that? Okay, I'm getting a lot of thumbs up.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can set a special meeting whenever you would like, and
Okay.
we'll facilitate that.
Okay, sounds good. I will take care of that, and we can, I'll probably give us more than an hour, just so that everybody can bring all of their information and cards to the table, if you will, and we can go through and have a full understanding of exactly what's going on. But I appreciate everybody's input in that. Thank you very much. Okay, did we make it through all the reports, Jennifer?
Well, we looked at them all.
Yeah, okay.
I think without that question answered about the packet loss, which we can put a flag in for and email Tracy afterward to ask about that.
Okay. All right, sounds good. The next item is the ECATS implementation. Tracy said that ECATS is coming along as well. They continue to meet with the outstanding PSAPs to collect data and have training scheduled with Intrado and the PSAPs through July. And that was all the information that Tracy provided. Any question? I know we have Jeff and Andrew on. Any questions on the ECATS implementation from any of the PSAPs or authorities? Kimberly.
It's not implementation, but it is a billing question. Who should I email about a billing question? Because I'm getting a separate bill
I
for
believe,
ECATS.
yeah, I believe the last time, oh, and she just raised her hand. I believe it's Kathy Kendrick. And Kathy, go ahead.
Yes, please. Email me. You can copy Tracy if you'd like. It's Kathy, Kathie.Kendrick, Kendrick, @lumen.com.
Okay, and Kathy, I'll just ask my question, but I'll email you as well. My understanding is that we'd be receiving one bill at the new tariff rate, but what I'm getting instead, just for my Jackson PSAP, is two separate bills, the ESInet and the ECATS bill.
Yes, that's correct, Kimberly. That is an error. That was an, okay, let me see how I can explain this. We've changed billing systems for where the ESInet used to bill. And it was my understanding that those accounts would not be converted to the new billing system without my intervention.
Okay.
But that happened anyway, so that's why I had already set up all the new accounts for the ECATS. And then realized that they had already converted the ESInet. If it's truly a problem, then I can take steps to combine them.
Okay, and I'll email this over to you so we can take a look and see what's going on. So
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, go ahead.
Hi, Kathy. Matt Montrose. How you doing?
Hi, Matt. I'm
Bye.
sorry. Which Kathy?
Kathy Kendrick.
We can both say hi. That's okay. Hi, Matt. I'm good. How are you?
Kathy Kendrick.
Okay, Matt, I'm here.
You might remember our discussions about Wesco billing issues on other stuff. So by inference from what you're saying, it sounds like the plan going forward currently, because of what happened, is that for all parties, all purchasers of the service for ECATs, they're all going to get separate bills for ECATs and ESInet.
As it is now, yes, sir.
So I would submit to this group, we should probably make a decision today together. Are we okay with that? Or fix it now?
Kimberly.
I find it to be a bit confusing, and I can see how it could be possibly confusing because everything with the tariff is just going to be this Lego, right? Everything just gets stacked as new things happen, and eventually are we going to have multiple different bills? I understand ECATS is a little bit different, but if a tariff change comes in on GIS, are we gonna see that change on our one bill? Are we going to expect 3 bills? So I guess having a big picture would be a good idea.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I feel the same way. As we keep adding line items to the tariff, I don't want a separate bill for each one of those. It's not clean. It's not going to be good and useful for folks that maybe don't have a lot of 911 authority staff to rigorously keep track and know what all these things are. I think everyone's better served if all tariff associated charges are on one monthly invoice.
Okay. I'll let Jackie speak in before I respond to that.
Yeah, good morning. This is Jackie. I would like one bill too, but I'd like to see them itemized on the one bill.
Good point. I guess I thought that was sort of assumed, but good point.
Itemized in what way? I mean, right now the ESInet bills X number of SIP sessions, right?
Yeah, it'll be X number of SIP sessions, and this is the cost for ESInet. This is the cost for ECAPs, and then whatever add-ons become more added on. This is the cost for this.
Gotcha.
Kimberly, go ahead.
Well, the point of having it itemized does make sense because if improvement plans continue to go forward, then there's a time period where certain costs may roll off. And so having it broken down could be very beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah, Kathy, go ahead and respond. That's
well,
fine.
I did want to respond to Matt's concern about changes to the existing tariff or whatever and then more and more bills. We have established the ECATS bill invoice, and we've unfortunately established the separate ESInet invoice. Those services to either of those categories will not generate a new invoice. And I just want to, I do want to say that when they converted the ESInet accounts, they very carefully took into consideration current balances due in the old system and carried it over to the new invoice for ESInet. And if we combine the invoices at this point, there's going to be the start and stop, and I'm afraid, and they may actually say, have a different description on them rather than saying a 911 SIP, for example. What we have built the billing codes now to say for ESInet in the system, it will say next gen ESInet. And so it's going to be a little bit different description if I combine them. So take that into account. And I would recommend, I mean, some of you have already received ECATS billing, some of you have not. If you have not received ECATS billing, then I could put, no, go in that direction. I'm sorry. I'm kind of talking out loud and thinking out loud here, and the process of our billing system. Matt, you and I've been through that before, but
Yes, ma'am.
The most accurate method for combining invoices would be to take the ESInet to the new ECATS bill, for the simple reason that for those of you who have multiple PSAPs billing to your account, they will now, on the ECATS bill, they'll be separated out by PSAP. So you'll see which PSAP, per PSAP, how many sessions for the, and that's how I've built the accounts for ESInet.
So
go ahead.
unfortunately, Kathy, for future context in the future, I can think of just immediately, there are going to be 4 new additional line item charges in the tariff over the coming years in the near future.
Okay.
4, right? So we'll have ESInet ECATS plus 4 more potential separate line item charges. I mean, it's not adjudicated, but they're potentially on the table, right? So now we're at 6. I don't want 6 separate bills for all these separate items. And I'm not bothered by having it be one way or the other, so long as it's one bill and each of the items is reasonably named and itemized.
Okay.
And those 4 won't be the last either.
Correct.
And of those 4, one of them may come and go or fluctuate over time. So if we try to future-proof this a little bit, we need to do this in a way where they're all on one bill and they're reasonably named and itemized for our own authority expense tracking and analysis purposes, as well as just the simplicity of writing, of making one payment instead of 6 a month.
Agreed. Let me think through this whole process and see the best method to approach it as a project instead of one account at a time.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
It may be that I would want to wait a couple of months until everything cleared through on the new transferred accounts.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, I've been sitting here thinking that it would be nice if you could maybe take some time and put together a small presentation on what your options are to be able to accommodate what the group together decides they want to do. I mean, right now it's just been myself, Kimberly, and Jackie speaking up. We don't even have a consensus vote from this group. But I'm not hearing any opposition to this either. So a presentation from you on the way things could work might be useful if Kathy Rayleigh agrees with that, and of course the rest of the group.
I can do that.
I think that would be great.
Okay, and who, should I wait till the next meeting?
Yeah,
Or-
that gives you time to put it together. And does that
Okay.
work for you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Joe, I see you have your hand up.
I hate to say this because we're committed to death, but the changes that are made will affect the entire group. And so maybe it would be good to form a committee that people who are concerned about this could get on so that varying views could be considered. And we could wind up, with a billing format that everyone is satisfied with.
That's fine, Joseph, but we won't be able to change the format at this point. I mean, the format is built, the descriptions are built, and so I can just explain to you. I mean, you all obviously can do whatever you feel is necessary from your viewpoint, but the
I was
format's
using the
going to be
word
the
format
format.
usually in terms of one bill, two bills. I would hope that you have some flexibility in your system so that to please the customer.
And not much. I'll be real honest. But as far as the main question, do you want one invoice or will you accept two? Then, I think that decision has been made. So what you're asking me is, can we change how it's formatted once the invoice is cut?
Well, I think what they're looking for is one invoice for all of these services and individual, itemized.
Right.
It's no different than like a PO with several lines.
The ECATs and the ESInet will, excuse me, are definitely itemized and clearly identified between ESInet and ECATs. And again, like I said, the new invoice, if you have multiple PSEPs on one invoice, that'll be broken out by PSEP. So I don't think that you'll be unsatisfied with that. Let me see if we've generated any invoices for that scenario. Joseph, have you started getting your ECATS bill yet? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with which PSEP you're with.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with billing. I'm
Gotcha.
just looking at,
Okay.
The group, and there can be different views, and for the amount of money that we as a group are paying to CenturyLink, there should be some accommodation to our preferences.
Absolutely. And any accommodations we could make, we certainly would. And again, you all do whatever you feel like is necessary from your viewpoint, from your standpoint. And, if you want to go ahead and do that now or wait until I give the presentation so you can see what it's going to be. That's it. I'm sorry. I probably should never have even said anything. So like you said, we're all committed to death, but that works for me. I'll just plan on doing a presentation at the next meeting as to what it would look like now and any time frames, and then you guys can just take it from there.
I think that sounds good.
Thanks.
Everybody else good with that? All right. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, everybody, for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Okay, we can move on to the next. I kind of got lost with everything. We talked about ECATs, and then the next should be the strategic plan update. So I can let everybody know that the committee. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted, before we move off of ECATs, Jeff Winkleman and I were talking the other day, and we just want to make sure that as comm centers are looking at new CPE options for call taking, just be aware and make sure that you're asking if that CPE can connect with ECATs easily. It's just a reminder to make sure that you're checking that box. And that's all I had to contribute.
All right. Thanks, Jennifer. Sorry, I see that now on the screen. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, I'll move on to the strategic plan update. We did meet last week. Or was it this week? I'm sorry, it was this week. Time flies. We did meet earlier this week. We met on Monday, and we are continuing to go through the current document. At this point, what we did, we decided to stop where we are in the document. Jennifer has put together a clean copy and sent that out to everybody so that we can see how well it reads and see the whole thing as it is put together. We do have another meeting, but it's not scheduled until July 8th, I think. Yeah, July 8th. And the reason that it's so far out is because we have NINA, the NINA conference in between now and then, and we also have the 4th of July. So that's when the next meeting will be, and we will continue working on the plan. And Deanie, go right ahead. Deanie, did you have something, or was that an accident?
Accident, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Any questions on the strategic plan update? Okay, I don't hear anything. I am now going to turn it over to Jeff Winkleman from CenturyLink, and he is going to go do a review of the future services, many of which we just spoke about, that will be coming up. So Jeff, go right ahead.
Thank you, Kathy. I don't have a whole lot. One of them, I think the biggest one, is going to be what has already been filed is for the network improvement plan. So we've put that filing in, and I reached out to Tim Kunkelman, excuse me, to see where we're at with that. The filing has gone through. I know there were some changes that were, and I don't know the right term, added to that as far as what the plan was. There have been sites that have been removed or added or links, but the filings were due on, well, they're today, I believe, the testimony filings. So that's in progress right now. We'll see where that's coming or where that's going. The other services that you got that we've been talking about, obviously we're going through the ECATs, and the next filing that we want to look at proposing is going to be, excuse me, looking at the addition, and we've brought this up several times, for text to 911, I3 routing, GIS, as well as TDMS. So there's a lot of GIS elements that go into that, but the next direction that we are looking to do to help the progress to be able to move Colorado to a full I3 deployment as the ultimate goal would be adding the text and the I3 routing. And if Rich is still on, if I'm wrong on that piece of it, I always get those mixed up. If you can correct me on that. But those are the next two steps. So we're looking, I think the next direction is to actually break these apart. We were at one point talking about putting all 4 items together, but we've realized after several conversations, that's going to be a little too much. And there are a lot of questions that came up on it. So I think the next direction is going to be looking at text and I3 routing. So those are the bigger projects that we're looking at right now. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to go ahead and shoot them off, and I can get answers if I have them right now, or if not, I can get back to you. Okay.
Kathy had to step away for just a second, so no questions for Jeff.
And I will just add to that the same note that was brought up there before as far as the ECATS is concerned. We've had some lessons learned on that on several levels, but compatibility is one thing we always want to look at as far as what's coming in. The text piece of it, I don't see there's going to be too many questions or issues or challenges with that. But for currently right now, want to make sure that the systems are compatible.
And Jeff, sorry, this is Rich. One clarification about kind of what's coming. The I3 call delivery, the protocol in which we deliver I3 to the PSAP, that's one of the piece parts, and separate but joined is GIS routing. The reason why they were separated is because we can gain a lot of benefits of I3 by just doing the GIS routing portion. So they'll be listed and be able to be enabled separately. So if a PSAP is ready from a GIS perspective to do GIS routing, but is not ready to accept the I3 delivery of a call, PSAPs will be able to do that. And we've done this multiple areas across the country. It's a great jump start for maybe if there's a CPE upgrade or there's some CPE timeline concerns, we can move PSAPs up to do GIS routing first and then do the I3 delivery later, or we can do them at the same time. So they'll be listed, so we'll have multiple options as to how to turn up those features.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah.
You stated that much better than I did. So, and Tracy, I see your question on as far as the transfers across state lines. Thanks for bringing that up. I will reach out. I don't have an update on that. I'll reach out to the team to find out where we're at with that.
Thank you.
And Jeff, this is Jennifer. Does CenturyLink have an idea of when they might file that tariff amendment for those services?
That's a great question, and the answer is I'm not sure. So I don't think we have a chance to, at this point, with what's on Tim's plate and everything else. We would love to get it in this year, but reality it is I don't know that that's going to happen. So I'll have to touch base with Tim to see what the status is on the potential filing. We still have a few things to work through on that too.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Jeff? Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, just again, a reminder that our timing for doing tariff changes is, I think it's on, what is the date by which we need to have the new statewide surcharge set?
The proceeding will open in July, and the proceeding has to be completed by October.
So probably, hopefully by July, we would have, I think we would need to have what the numbers would be for the new tariff offerings so that if they're introduced in 2025, they would be covered by the 911 surcharge.
Matt, go ahead.
I feel like with everything else that's being adjudicated right now, there's no way that's happening in time. And I don't think we should set ourselves up for that happening that quickly.
Yeah, and I think so. The point is that CenturyLink should be working to the dates that we need for them to affect for the next year, and then if not, plan them for the year following, which gives more, not hurry up and then sit and wait, you know, to base it on those dates that they would have to work to.
Yeah, and there's also the matter of how much could the surcharge be reasonably and politically increased in any one given year. I think we're just setting ourselves up for problems if we try to squeeze all of that stuff in time for a 2025 surcharge increase and implementation of those things. And I feel like we need to continue with some occasional discussions or presentations by the vendors about how these things work, so that a number of people said, oh man, I understood it so much better the second time I saw the presentation. And I feel like we should probably continue that process for some time.
Yeah, Matt, this is Rich, and we're happy to do those presentations whenever you need. I'm absolutely. I guess my only concern is this. I mean, it's a life-saving technology, GIS routing specifically, and to wait another year and a half to be able to deploy it. I just want to get it up and running as soon as possible for the state. But
yeah, no, I appreciate that. But nothing goes through this process in Colorado without a bunch of us poking into every dark corner and nook and cranny during the proceedings, and that takes a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, though, Rich. I appreciate it.
It might be helpful if we had a timeline of the things that are coming along, when we think they're going to be introduced, and what the tariff impact would be. Because we do have, since we can only increase the surcharge in 1 cent increments, and that winds up, being lots and lots of dollars for that 1 cent increment, there's always going to be some over recovery, and that might help us better kind of anticipate, where we're going to be, and rather than, to have a timeline that we're adjusting and working to. Does that make sense?
It does to me, Joe. It's kind of a roadmap of where we're going and how we're going to get there and what time we're going to get there. Or the plan, anyway.
Much better explanation.
Oh, sure. And Chris, go ahead.
I was just going to say I support that, because I don't, if it's not going to be covered by the tariff and what's going to be a bill to the PSAPs, we don't want to start getting surprise bills like we did for ECATs and not have it in our budget. So if it's going to hit next year, we need to know by September for budget for next year.
Right. Matt, did you have something else?
Oh, I was just going to second Joe, tongue in cheek. Yeah, that should be in something like a strategic plan.
Yeah, it should be. Aha. Okay, any other discussion on that? But yeah, that's something that we'll have to bring to the committee for the users group strategic plan and take a look at putting that in there. It certainly fits for that particular document. Any other questions? Okay, is Kimberly still on? Sorry, I have to scroll.
I am.
Oh, there you are. Did you have something else about the scheduled text to 911, or did I just forget to take it off the agenda?
Nothing else. So just,
okay.
Yeah, needs to be removed.
Okay. Thank you. Oh,
sorry, Kimberly. I thought this was the issue that you had with a person who had scheduled their text to the PSAP on a very sad issue.
Yes, but I think I covered it, or have I not covered that at this meeting yet?
We haven't covered it yet at this meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we had covered it at this meeting, but that apparently was a different meeting. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Yeah, so this is just more of an awareness for everybody. It was the first time this has occurred for us that we're aware of. And it was a person who scheduled a text to 911 advising them that they had killed themselves and where they were at, how they could get entrance into the building, etc. And they scheduled it to be delivered a few hours after they had committed suicide. So it just caught us a little bit by surprise, and it obviously isn't anything with the text application. It was an app that they used on their phone. So it wasn't like it went into the ESInet and it was delayed, or delivered on our Viper and it was delayed. It's just how the person from their device scheduled the text. So we just wanted to make everyone aware that that happened. It was a college student, so I don't know if it's something that is being chatted about in that group. So much of that stuff does get talked about as it pertains to scheduling texts and trends and whatnot, but obviously very sad situation. And just wanted again to bring everyone's awareness. Nothing wrong with text or the Viper or anything like that. It's truly just something that was on their phone that allowed them to schedule their text.
Thanks, Kimberly. Carl.
Yeah, and just a follow up. Currently with an iPhone, you have to do a shortcut, so it's quite a few process. But coming in September, October, you are going to be able to schedule text on the iPhone, so it may be something more people see, unfortunately.
Thanks, Carl. Yeah, just something for everybody to be aware of. Until Kimberly brought this up, I did not know you could do that. But again, that's me. So just kind of a sad situation, and hopefully nobody else has the same idea with that, although that probably won't be the case. Okay, moving on. Jennifer, you're up next with Durango issues.
So Durango reached out this morning and brought to our attention that, hold on, I got to pull up the email so I don't get it wrong. It looks like they've had some of their 911 calls going in on their admin lines. And this has been happening since about the middle of May. Their rollover, not their abandonment route, but their rollover route is for their 911s to go to their admin lines. But when they reached out, there's two issues that are coming up with this. One, when they reached out to CenturyLink, who did some researching, it looks like possibly one of their routers was down, which was causing their calls to go through their rollover protocol. But it doesn't appear that there were alarms to alert CenturyLink to the fact, and this has been happening since mid-May. So the fact that this was happening but CenturyLink wasn't aware is concerning. The other concern that I have with this situation is that CenturyLink, when Durango reached out to CenturyLink, they pushed them off onto Entrado to get the problem fixed. And I really want to make it clear again in this group that when our PSAPs call CenturyLink for an issue, it's CenturyLink's problem to fix the issue. And if they need to reach out to Entrado, then it should be CenturyLink coordinating with Entrado to fix the problem. CenturyLink is under contract with the PSAPs to provide ESInet service. And if 911 calls aren't getting to the PSAP, and if CenturyLink needs to do further troubleshooting with Entrado, then it's CenturyLink that needs to do the troubleshooting and reaching out to Entrado, not incumbent upon the PSAPs to do that.
Jeff, go ahead. Jeff, if you're talking, you're muted.
It's that stinking double mute. Sorry about that. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay.
I think part of what has been experienced here, and I've talked to Zeta this morning already too, so I'm working with our resources inside to troubleshoot this further to see where this is going. But to the point of being directed to call to Entrado, I agree that shouldn't be happening. Part of that might lie on the fact that in a good note, our NOC has had an increase. At one point I heard it was almost 50% in their headcount, which is great, but the downside to that is there's a very large training curve for those people. And in fact, this whole week, the NOC manager has been sitting in with some of the new people to get them trained and get them up to speed as quickly as possible. So in those situations, what's been conveyed to me is if you're experiencing any type of issue with the service you're getting when you call into NOC, you need to ask for either a senior technician, a supervisor, or escalate at that point. My understanding is you're right, you should not be directed into Entrado. We are taking care of that. So if that's happening, please let me know, and we will get that corrected.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Matt.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
Wasn't there also in this case with this PSAP an extremely long delay in getting the technician on site at least once?
For Durango?
Was it Durango?
I don't recall. And when you say technician, are you talking about or for the network piece of it or for the call handling?
Honestly, I'm trying. I've slept since I read the outage reports.
Oh, Matt, if I could help with that, this is
Yeah.
something new that was just brought to our attention today. So it hasn't been in an outage report.
Okay, so this is not related to the outage report that listed a ridiculously long delay of technician response. Okay,
No, but there have been a couple of those.
separate issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anything else regarding that piece of the conversation? All right. Next is public comment. Non-voting members are welcome to provide comments during this portion. Do we have anybody who wants to bring anything forward? Okay, seeing none, next is adjournment. I want to thank everybody for being here. We will be putting together a special meeting that we talked about earlier in this meeting. We'll figure out date and time and so that we can have everybody who needs to be there present. And we will go forward with that as well. Otherwise, it is 10:53 and I'm going to call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.